mic, camera, action.
Well, that was one of the first. I mean, I talked to Stephen King once, and when I first came aboard, and I said, "Give me one line, a diving board. It's just something to get my mind going." He goes, "He's got the world by the string," and I think he's at a shit-eating grin or a Cheshire cat grin the whole way, so he's enjoying it. Look, this was my first dive into, Walter's not the devil, but I sure did approach it like, what would the devil do? Right. And a lot of it was in the books, and then, but this is the first time I've done it in a capacity that's like a big summer action thriller film franchise, big fun, I mean, I've walked close to that line with other characters that were more dramatic characters, but this had a certain panache to it that I found was going to be fun.
All right. Welcome back to the Filmography, the show dedicated to watching every credited film from an actor's complete back catalogue, from past debut through to present day in chronological order. Each episode, I'm joined by an esteemed guest to watch and discuss the next entry from the Focus Filmography and consider how it ranks amidst their career and whether we can trace any typecasting trends or topic traits or theatrical tics. Today, I'm joined by the gunslinging Scott Weatherley to discuss McConaughey's performance in Nikolaj Arcel's adaptation of Stephen King's The Dark Tower from 2017. We watch, you listen, and hopefully, watch along too. Might be showing my hand a little bit there, my fast gun-twirling, quick draw hands. Interesting one that I think we might take to task a little bit tonight.
Yeah. I read these books. When Stephen King wrote, just to give some context, Stephen King obviously wrote the full Dark Tower series, and they were released in bits. The first book, I think, was almost like a writing experiment for him. He just liked that opening line, the sort of the man in black across the desert and the gunslinger followed. And he was like, "Oh, where does that go? How does that story plan out?" And he sort of ended up creating that story. And then he wrote the first 4 books over a series of years, and then sort of like, Game of Thrones it and was like, "Yeah, I'm going to go write a bunch of other stuff and I might come back to it." And everyone was like, "No, you got to finish this." And then I think like early 2000s he started and sort of did 5, 6, and 7 to complete the story. And then came back and was like, "Oh, but there's this interquel, The Wind Through the Keyhole," and then has kind of centered it to his universe, like the Dark Tower. The Dark Tower is the center of the King universe. I mean, the books themselves, when you read through them, they literally meet Stephen King in a later book. They travel in, they meet Stephen King. They go into the world of Salem's Lot, like the Dixie Pig that's referenced in this. Is run by vampires, it's in the Salem's Lot world, and then they go off and it references. If you've read it references the Great Turtle God. That's referenced in, and there's all these bits and pieces. And of course, there is Walter O'Dim, who is the Man in Black, who is also Randall Flagg of The Stand. And he's also Walter of The Eyes of the Dragon, and there's other characters in King books that people point to and go, "Oh, is that him in another universe or through things?" So it's massively interwoven into the King lore, and there's all these bits and pieces that go through it. And then they said, "Well, we're going to cram all that into the 90 minutes and everything." And so. Yeah, but the books are fantastic. I mean, I've read them all. I've read them all once, but I've been back and read like the first couple and stuff. And I do want to pick them all up again because they are fantastic. But yeah, it's the thing that's so annoying for this book is this film is it's not just the Stephen King lore. You know, I can say, oh, it jumps into The Stand or the Salem's Lot or whatever. It's the fact that even the core of this story of the Dark Tower, the quest, you know, the fellowship, if you will, is a group of people that come together. And Roland is at the heart of it. Roland Deschain is at the heart of it. But it's like there's these troubles for these other guys. Like, you know, there's a I'm trying to remember the names now, but you obviously have Jake Chambers, who spoilers for some of the bits of the book, by the way. But like Jake Chambers, like the way he meets him, he dies in his world and is pushed into Roland's world. And then they meet these other people. There's like an alcoholic sort of guy in his early 20s that's a real dick, and sort of he's looking for his redemption. And then there's a black woman in a wheelchair who's lost her legs, which comes from a civil rights era. And so, like, you know, as a different take on this sort of like, who's this white dude as a cowboy telling me what to do and all this other stuff. And so, but they become this sort of family unit.
Yeah.
And all this other stuff. So that's the heart of the books, is like, you know, the trials and tribulations that they face to get to the tower. Like the tower, the saving of the tower is kind of the important bit. But the other thing is the tower, if you read the first book, like the tower is almost mythological. Like nobody else really knows about it, or they do, but it's kind of like it's a myth. You know, it's a kind of a fairy tale that people tell. And so Roland's obsession with Walter and with the tower is kind of dark, because you're not entirely sure, and he's not even entirely sure it's real. So it's a really sort of dark obsession. In the film, they're like, no, he's a superhero, and the gunslingers are destined to say, you know, protect the Dark Tower and all this. And you're like, what is this shit about? Like, it's a superhero film, is what they made.
It's interesting to say that, because to me, it watched like a YA adaptation. It felt like the YA version. It felt like the Hunger Games, Divergent, Maze Runner. By having this activist character of Jake, it felt very much like, okay, these are popular right now. Let's make one of those. Yeah.
Do you know, I'll tell you what, I've watched it this time, and it dawned on me what this film is. This film is canon's The Masters of the Universe.
Sure. Yeah.
Which is like, you know, they go, oh, it's a poor adaptation, but, we can't do the full fantasy version, so we're going to make it kind of sci-fi, and we're going to bring everything down to earth.
Yeah. I see that, absolutely.
And you go, oh, okay. But to be fair, I still love that Masters of the Universe. It's silly and fun. And I think if you were to come to this film, if you were a kid watching this film, no knowledge of the Dark Tower series and sort of the whole thing, it's not terrible. It's not good, but you can go, oh, it is,
isn't it?
It is, but you could go. I could imagine there's a kid that would watch this and go, that's quite a good, silly fun. Do you know what I mean? Like, you could enjoy it for what it is.
Yeah.
But it's the fact that it kind of gets compressed. And
I think clearly, like, we know that there was it's been in development for years, right? It's been in development for years, and I was reading all about it in the build up to tonight, and the hands it's been through and the versions that it came across. And this was planned to be like a 3-film 2-series epic, wasn't it? I remember them talking about it actually, like over a decade ago. I remember the grand plans they had for it, and of course now Mike Flanagan's back making grand plans for this. I think it's 5 films and 3 series or something now. He's got safer pair of hands, right? But like you said, that compression, it just doesn't know what it wants to be, and I think that's really, really clear as you watch it. It can't decide, and the fact that it is a kind of compression of all these books and all these characters, but also is a kind of sequel. And I know that, from what I understand, without wanting to spoil too much, because I'm going to go through and read all the books, so, you know, reading around it without going into too much depth, I know that these ideas are played within the books anyway, in terms of kind of
the repetition of story,
and time, and all of that's part of it. So fine, I guess they can probably argue that that's okay. But when you've got this world building you're trying to do, it's a problem that maybe it's a review I'll read later, but lots of stuff I read about it as well was just the idea of, like, everything happens really fast, but also it feels really long.
Yeah,
and
it does.
and nothing really happens. And there's lots of characters, but there's lots of. It's popular by lots of people, but there's no characters. There's no develop. Like it's just it's such a. It almost feels like a copy and paste. Now if this came out now, we'd be saying this is an AI script. So I'm a bit bored of that phrasing, but it's like a copy and paste script where somebody's gone, oh, I like that from that, and I like that from that, and I like that from that, and not just King books, but bloody everything.
No, everything. I mean, this is the characters. The character names are there, but like you say, there's it's the blandest thing because you get like, well, what are the stakes in this? What are the stakes in this film? Well, the stakes are the existence of reality. I mean, this is like, Avengers Endgame level kind of, what's it? Okay, well, who's it down to? It's down to a kid and a sort of, a wandering gunslinger that's looking for redemption. Okay, cool. How do they achieve their goal? Oh, they kill the villain. What? Sorry, what? Oh, yeah, they just kill the villain. Right, and they come across all these things, right? You're introduced to like multiple dimensions. The fact that in like Keystone Earth, which is supposed to be our world, there are beings from other dimensions living amongst us. There's these things going on. They've infiltrated sort of like social net, sort of like organizations and all this other stuff. And you go, cool. How does the defendant? Oh, they beat Walter. And you go, right. And then they just wander off. Yes, you've just told me like the end of this film is Ghostbusters. The sky goes crazy and they're doing this and that. It's so kind of pat. It's so rote.
Yeah, it really is.
It's kind of. When I watched it this time, I remember I stood for like a couple of seconds. You are like, oh, well, that's an ending. I suppose. It just everything's so easy in this film.
Yeah, it is. It's flat and it's easy. Rote is exactly the right word. Although I wish it had been wrote a bit more. Yes. And none of it makes sense. And again, I'm fine with kind of fantasy pushing the boundaries of what is believable. That's not a problem. That's why it's a fantasy, right? But the way they set this world up, as you said, with all these things, and we meet a being in the woods which can disguise itself, actually very Masters of the Universe style, like you said, when it appears to. Courtney Cox is our mum. This appears.
That was what triggered to me. Absolutely, that's what triggered me. I was like, "Oh, evil in." Yeah,
but and then it becomes this big like demonic beast thing, and you've got Idris Elba running around with a couple of guns, and I'm just like, well, that won't do anything. And then you've got the man in black who can just literally tell people to stop breathing, and they stop breathing. He's really overpowered.
They're all overpowered in this. Him and Roland,
and he's just going to stop him. But as far as I can see in the presentation of this movie, Roland is really good at shooting guns. And then he says, I heal quickly, and then he doesn't. And that's it. So I'm again, like, in terms of the mythos of what they're presenting just within this movie, it doesn't even really make sense because he would have zero chance of stopping this guy.
No. I mean, one of the things, no, he wouldn't. I mean, that's the whole point of the books.
Right, yeah.
I mean, all right, I am going to spoil some of the first book. You've read the first book. So
I have, yeah.
That Walter's like dead at the end of it, or maybe, there is a body that is in the black shroud, and so the point of the book is like that Roland is constantly unsatisfied in his quest.
Yeah, it's almost Memento style kind of. There's never going to be an end of this for you.
No, that's the point. I mean, the whole point. Yeah, that's absolutely like you are on this never-ending quest, and you're never going to get the answers you want. But you can't not continue. Like you are perpetually on this quest, and that sort of that thread continues throughout. But the problem they shift. The thing is, the book is Roland is the focus of the book. It is, and you learn stuff about him as a boy and about this thing of the ritual of him becoming a man and having to beat his training master and how he uses a hawk and all this other stuff.
Yeah,
and I love all that stuff. It blinds him, and it's a really cool scene. And his dad is this kind of like legendary gunslinger, and so he has to like
very Game of Thrones, isn't it? I know this came before Game of Thrones, but you can see again the
it's all there. But it works in the reason the gunslingers work in the book is they're a mythology. They don't. They're not exceptional. They're just sort of a bunch of like knight errants. You know, they will do heroic things. They will go out and protect people, or they'll do this stuff. And they're all dressed like cowboys, so they all look kind of cool. But they aren't super powered. They can't, as you know, Idris does in this, sort of jump over things and sort of swing things around. It's more a case of just lots of practice, hugely trained, and a kind of like mythology that's built up around them. Of you don't mess with a gunslinger. Like they carry that mythology. They're not superpowered. They're not anything special. And there's this whole thing of like, oh, they are from the line of Arthur Eld. Yeah. And so there is this thing of like, oh, they are descended from King Arthur. Nobody ever knows if they are. It's all made up. It's that mythology, and then people buy into it, and that's part of the story and part of the books, because that again comes back later on. There's a book, Wizarding Glass, and it's the third or fourth one, I forget which one it is, that literally the whole book is a flashback to a young Roland. And you get this thing of him and his friends and all this other stuff that are mentioned in the first book, and that's the whole point of him becoming a man and this other stuff. And you go like, oh yeah, they're not superpowered, they're not nothing special, they're just kind of hardened, like, you know, they're samurai, they are knights errant, they're this kind of thing. So the point of the book is this kind of the breaking down of the mythology of these warriors, to be like, no, he's on his own. No one kind of believes in the mythology anymore. And so, you know, Roland is broken. He's still arrogant because he still sees himself as a gunslinger.
Yeah, because he's the only one now, isn't he, at this point in the stories?
But like the mythology is broken. And so that's what I find that the point of the book is thinking you're confronted with this man who's obsessive. The only thing he has left is this pursuit of Walter and this thing of the Dark Tower. And so the Roland you get in the books is dark, murderous, cunning, you know, like
willing to sacrifice anybody and anything in the aim of his goal.
Absolutely, I'll get to that. But like the whole, he goes into a town at one point, and you know he ends up spending some time there, and you know, and sort of sleeping with the woman.
Very kind of classic, like edge of the desert western town.
Yes,
yeah, very Deadwood.
But then when Walter comes back and sort of like messes it all up, like he has no compunction against killing everybody that gets in his way.
Yeah,
and he kills the whole town basically.
Yeah.
And then they say later on, when he's confronted and he finds Jake, who has been pushed into Roland's world after dying. I mean, it gets hit by a car. He says basically, yes, you can join on, and he does feel affection in the same way that he felt affection for his friends and stuff, and you know he misses that companionship. But when it comes down to save Jake from falling into a pit of monsters or pursuing Walter, he lets Jake die.
Yeah. Doesn't even think about it.
No, he has like a moment of guilt, but he's like, but this is what my goal is. This is what I've been pursuing, for only to become unsatisfied in that quest at the end of the book. So I don't know. It just Idris Elba is too nice in this film.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
And we were talking just before recording about this idea actually, where sometimes, because of the casting, the vehicle they're in, the film they're in, gets tailored to that actor. And you know, you could see that here. I mean, Idris has been a bad guy in the past, and he's done that very well. I mean, he was very charming as Stringer Bell on The Wire, but he was a bad guy.
Yeah.
So, but maybe at this point in his career, he doesn't want to do that anymore. And you know, Luther sort of walks a fine line, doesn't he, as well? He does bad things
but for a noble cause, kind of thing.
Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, I can see them kind of like, oh, we've got Idris Elba interest in this. Let's, you know, but then we have to turn it into Heimdall, essentially, isn't it? It's Heimdall in the Dark Tower. We need him to be that heroic guy.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think that's absolutely what was happening. They were like, I think they saw this and thought, we have a multi-picture, we can do sequels beyond this. Yeah. You know, because they're now going to be traveling. They can now travel from different dimensions. We can do anything. So Idris is now going to be our superhero cowboy. and he's going to have his little boy sidekick with him. Batman and Robin. We're going to do all this stuff. And yeah, I absolutely think they were looking at Marvel Universe. I would not be surprised if someone somewhere was like, "Oh, we can go into any universe, so we can jump into any Stephen King book. We could do crossovers. We can do this." Yeah, it's all there. This is a Marvel type movie. But
I mean, yes, I know what you mean. It absolutely is, but also it's actually more of a 2000s superhero movie.
Yes,
it's kind of pre-Marvel in the way that it tells the story and the characters it has and the development. It's kind of Fox.
This is. Let's be clear. I would. You are right, but I'd also say to make it more contemporary. Don't forget this was done by Sony. So
right, okay,
we're talking. This is Morbius. This is Venom. This is
Madam Web.
This is those people. And so
you're right, it is. Yeah,
I can imagine there's the same executive sat at the top going, yeah. I know there's 8 books written by Stephen King about all this deep lore and all this other stuff, but what I want to do is this, and it's got to be it's got to be 90 minutes long, and it's got to be this, and why would you make Idris Elba, a grumpy, drunk, depressed cowboy? No. Let's make him, a fish out of water, superhero,
like gruff but likable. Has his heart awakened by his interactions with this young boy? Yeah, absolutely, with his young ward. As you said before, it's the same story we've seen 1,000 times before, and mostly done better everywhere else. I would argue as well.
Yeah. It's an odd one that when you you see this film and you thought, I mean, not to really shit on any of the crew that made the film. They did their job, and I think the film looks. There's nothing wrong with the way the film looks and the production and all this other stuff. And people are clearly doing what they're asked to do. But someone at some point read this script and went, "Boom, that's the one we're gonna do."
Yeah, which is crazy, isn't it? And you think,
yeah.
And I guess when you consider like the amount of hands it's been through as well, and who has been involved, and the amount of talent that could have brought us to the screen, I don't really know Nikolaj Arcel's filmography. I mean, that might say a lot on itself, or maybe myself will look him up in a minute. But Akiva Goldsman was a key hand in this, wasn't it? And he's got a very patchy track record. And it's like 4 names I think are attributed to this script, which isn't always an arbiter of terrible quality, but also it's not always a great sign, is it? But you think of who when JJ, Damon Lindelof and Carlton Cuse, they got their hands on this originally, I think for $19 because of the number of 19. Right, it's such a key factor. King gave them the rights to this for $19 originally, but they were too busy making Lost in order to move forward this. But you think about what you think about JJ and where his career's gone. But like Lindelof, I still look up to. I still think the things that he's made have been very successful and very smart. Look at that Watchmen miniseries. You look at The Leftovers, the things that he's got himself involved with post Lost. If he had actually been able to get his hooks into this, and we would have got probably something quite close to the original story, really, with quite a lot to say as well.
Oh, I think so. I think it's. I mean, one of the things you can do. I think King sort of does it and stuff, and those people you mentioned would have done it. Is you're challenging the sort of the Western stereotype with Roland, really.
I mean, he's based on Leone and Eastwood, isn't he? I think King's quite willing to admit that. I think he kind of says like a massive influence on me is this character, and that already in itself was already playing with the kind of
a revisionist kind of thing. But but this takes it in a different direction of like even if you watch Eastwood, I mean, again, I'm a massive fan of Eastwood and his westerns, but even in those, like he's never wholly bad. It's the spaghetti westerns. Like he's the sort of like he's the good of the good, the bad, the ugly. He's
sure, yeah.
And the closest you probably get is going to be High Plains Drifter, where he may or may not be a ghost, and But the revisionist history sort of comes in later, or the revisionist Western comes in as sort of like, this is, Josie Wales and those kinds of ones. Unforgiven eventually, but even Unforgiven, it's kind of like, it's a hell of a thing to kill a man, to take over the way everything he will be and everything he was. And so there's that acknowledgement of the sort of like the gruff, the violence, the all this other thing. But Roland's kind of so in the thick of it, he's like, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah,
that's just the world I'm living in, and I will kill people and I will sort of walk over their bodies to get to what I've got to get to. And so it's almost like pushing that needle to go, all right, can you follow a Western archetype that's actually not a good guy, really? Or kind of, was, but is now obsessive and
so blinkered and so kind of yeah.
So I don't think I think it would have been interesting, like, to really, if you could have got like and Idris Elba could have done it. I don't think there's any question of his casting. I think he's a great actor, and I think he's a great charismatic presence. And actually, with him having been Heimdall and done other things, if you did have him and you were like, he's now going to be this character, I think, oh, great, that'd actually be a really interesting idea to have Idris Elba play that and challenge that kind of a black, American playing that thing. Oh, well, he's not a British guy, but a black sort of like, Western stereotype. That'd be amazing, sort of. So, yeah. I mean, have you seen the Harder They Fall? No,
I haven't actually. No,
yeah, he's good in that. I mean, that's kind of, he is a villain in that, but like, that's kind of thing I think of.
Unfortunately, he isn't very good in this. I mean, nobody is very good in this, to be perfectly honest. But I agree, he's talented enough to be good in this. But the script he's given and the direction he's given, I don't think he doesn't convince to me at any point, really. He's probably the high point of the film. And that's a sad thing to say when we're here to talk about McConaughey, which we will get onto. But even as the high point, it's a very low bar.
Yeah. It's one of the things about this film is it papers over so much. Everything's so kind of you almost blink and you'll miss it, and not just the sort of the Easter eggs and nods and all sort of stuff.
Yeah.
All that's blink and you'll miss it. But even there's this thing of when they go to the village in the other dimension, and there's a seer, and so she reads Roland, and she's like, oh, he was born of Arthur Eld and ears of the line, and he da-da-da-da-da. But in his soul, he's no longer a gunslinger. And you're like, oh, he's carrying some shit then. This is something for him to deal with. And, he struggles to, is he going to struggle in a fight? That's kind of what's suggested. Like him being involved in a shooting is going to be a problem. And then the village gets attacked. And within seconds, he's like, no, not a problem. I'm, shooting, I'm bending bullets like I was in Wanted, or
Wanted came to my mind actually.
And you're like, oh, so is he having problems with this? And then it sort of suggests he is again, and he has to get over it again. And at the end of it, he has to sort of he only sort of takes up his guns to save Jake. I don't. There's always this kind of thing of like, oh, he has to step up to become a gunslinger, and I'm like, cool, step up from what? Because I'm not entirely sure what the problem is here. Because he saw his dad die from Walter, which is literally just stop. I don't know why there was a war, and this is the thing. I'll get to it in a second. But there's meant to be like some psychological block that's never explored, never kind of laid out. It just seems to be there as they're trying to write in convenient tension. It's a contrivance to be like, oh no, wow, he's in real danger now. He can't get it up. This is a threat to his masculinity. No, he can, and bullets are flying everywhere, right? With these two huge phallic guns. I mean, it's not even interesting to analyze as a kind of thing. It's just sort of
and everything's throw, isn't it? Because we have from that initial interaction when we learn about Walter killing his dad that the gunslinger is the only one whose Walter's voice won't work on.
Yeah.
And then the gun, we get a mention, his guns were forged from Excalibur. Okay, that's exciting and interesting. Like, what does that mean? Nothing. It just means that. But yeah, so there's all these things which again, there might be more when I come to read the rest of the books. I've got the next two on order from the library. That I'll be reading them within days, I would have thought. So I'll be following with the series. So maybe these things become important, or there's a bit more depth to them in the books. I don't know, but yeah, here it's just let's mention it because we can. Let's have a Pennywise reference because we can. Let's have two twins standing who could be the Shining twins because we can. It's that's the attitude here, isn't it? It's because we can.
Yeah, it's because we can. Oh, it's because it's a King reference, or it can do this, or it can do that. I mean, it's so everything's so throwaway, everything's so paper thin. That it is. It's kind of just you go like, oh, okay. Well, I don't really care.
Which, as you said, like if you're aiming for that kind of tween audience, it isn't great because we should be giving them content that does challenge them. You know, I never actually finished the Hunger Games books nor the film series because I got turned off by those as well. I thought the first two were fine, and then they kind of went downhill for me. I clocked out at that point. But there are things there to actually make teenagers think, right? So young adults think. It's got something to say to begin with that this doesn't. And that's a problem as well. Like when I was watching, I just thought, as you said, it's paper thin. There's nothing to engage you here at all. It's just A to B. Let's follow the tropes. Let's get to the end.
Well, it doesn't. But like you said before, that it doesn't even follow its own internal logic at any point. Like I don't know what. Well, let's get to McConaughey and Walter.
Yeah, like, what's his mission?
What? Well, it seems to be to bring down the Dark Tower. Using children and their shine,
right?
Yeah. Talk about the shine. I don't know why.
No,
I've got no idea why he wants to do this and why people are supporting him to do this in kind of some weird industrial complex. Who built this thing? Why did they build this thing? You know, there's no kind of interrogation of his motivation. He's just the baddie. He's just the man in black. He is potentially Randall Flagg. You're like, well, I don't know why. I don't understand the motivations.
No. We need to know what will come of the tower being destroyed. All we know is there's earthquakes and every kind of... But we don't know what will happen if it comes down, do we?
Well, it kind of suggests... There's a suggestion that it's protecting the worlds from the void. So beyond the sort of protection of these demons and these things. And you go, cool. They say, like, you know, darkness and fire. You go,
it's a bit never-ending story, isn't it? It's a bit like
it's like the nothing.
Yeah.
I just want to say though, darkness and fire is a terrible, terrible combination because one literally produces light. So that was really annoying me. But yeah, I don't know what Walter's motivations are. Like it doesn't make any sense to me, and he doesn't expound on it. He never says, you know, like, this is my mission. This is why.
No.
And the other problem is again, like, he's so overpowered. You know, with a wash of a hand, he's like, you know, stop breathing or burn or whatever. He can catch bullets in the air. He can stop bullets in the air. I mean, the guy's like Neo. Like he can do what he wants. Why was there a war? Why did the gunslingers like? You know, where does he come from? That there was a war. How come he didn't just wipe them all out in one go? Like, it wouldn't have been a war. It would have been like a slight skirmish, and he was just sort of like, stop breathing, and you're dead. I don't know. It doesn't. This film doesn't want you to think.
No. At
all. It just wants you to go, oh, that's a, you know, doesn't look cool. That's, you know, they want you to go, oh, okay, I know what that is. It's so, yeah. I mean, the bigger problem is that, I was looking, this came in 2017, a year after the first series of Stranger Things. So when you see that demon thing come, it's got that red and the black and the way. I was like, oh, that looks a lot like the Upside Down. And having it led by a kid, I was like, okay, is that? Oh, we're looking for that, as you said, that teen audience. And then obviously the thing that blows this out of the water comes the same year. Is it Chapter 1?
Yeah.
And they're like, oh no, this is how you do it. And you know, you make it legit creepy, and you know, you do it right and all this other stuff. And that film's not perfect; it's got flaws and stuff. But like, you know, they were kind of like, yeah, we're going to do a film with kids at its center. like the book, and but it's going to be creepy and scary and all the other stuff.
It knew its audience, didn't it? It had its intention.
Yes,
I think that's what's missing here. Like, they want this to, I don't know who they want it to be for. Maybe it is that twee market, but also, is it for fans of the book? I mean, definitely not.
No.
But maybe initially they thought it would be. Yeah, we're sort of running out of the same, and any more synonyms for the same things we keep saying. But the problem with this is that everything keeps coming back to the initial conception of what they wanted this to be was just flawed from the foundations up.
Absolutely, and it's not without sort of the epic precedence. It's not as if it's not there. You go, oh well, what great films have we got that we can follow? Well, the Lord of the Rings, lesser so like The Hobbit. We've had Pirates of the Caribbean, so we've had like weird high fantasy and dark battles and sort of like kind of taking it serious. We could do this. It's not that there isn't noise. These books have sold, I'm assuming like hundreds of thousands of copies in different languages. There's an audience for this. Like, just odd choices.
It is, and I think I don't know if you wrote any more down, but like the reference points there, that's that like high end fantasy, right? That's that stuff that works really well. And some of those are hybrids, and I think sometimes these hybrid ones they struggle, don't they? Because really, instead of those reference points you just made, it's Wild Wild West, it's Cowboys versus Aliens, it's Stargate, it's things that Stargate's got its charm, but really when you watch it now, you're like, oh, okay,
it's kind of silly, yeah.
They're the things. Actually, these are the points this is hitting, rather than the Stranger Things and the Lord of the Rings and the It's and the
But it could have. I mean, this could have easily gone. We are going to go, like I say, high end fantasy, but we're going to, instead of being in that sort of European medieval setting, we are going to go for this sort of like dark Western, kind of thing. We're going to go the full Unforgiven.
Yeah, what's interesting about that first book is the different settings you get. Is that you do get that Western desert, but you do get that. To me, like I said, Game of Thrones. It felt like when you see Roland's past and the training and the kind of, you get those different stratas of society that people are in and the classes, and so you do get lots of really interesting places. And it is episodic, that book, but by design, I think deliberately so, right? Which perhaps doesn't translate to a 90-minute movie. So that, I understand that, but then make a miniseries, make a TV series of it, which I know, as we discussed, was the plan, was going to be this, and then the series starring, and I think Idris has signed up as well. I think it was going to be Roland and Jake, as you said, the adventures of those two, Lone Wolf and Cub style, I assume.
Yeah.
It's just...
The thing is that even with the sort of the centering of the characters, the Roland of the book, we've said, is one different character, and the Walter of the book. I mean, the Walter of the book is literally stucking Roland's mum. Like that's where the obsession comes from. Is when the reason he becomes a man, although he takes on his. I forget the character's name, but he takes on his trainer early and at risk to his own life. The reason he takes on is so that he can be given his gun, so that he can go and kill Walter. Like that's and so you get the origins of this obsession, of this kind of like this anger and this kind of desire, because he's end up killing his dad and all this other stuff. And you go, oh, it's there. There's a texture there, as you say. It's kind of like this is an obsession. This is Game of Thronesy. It was in this sort of the halls of this place, this great place, and there's ritual and there's sort of like chivalry and all this other stuff that goes with it. And you go, well, that's amazing. That's interesting. Are we going to touch on that? No, that's not what this is about.
Don't have time for that. Let's just have two guys in the field, which is definitely reshoots. Although happy to see Dennis Haysbert, and great casting for him and Idris as father and son. But let's have a reshoot in a field lit really differently that kind of looks like the Civil War, but we don't know why. And stop breathing.
It's so much stuff. I mean, I would say, you say that Idris is the highlight, and there's bits where he's good and this and so. I would say though, I actually think McConaughey is the highlight for me.
Okay, go on, tell me why, because I definitely disagree, but I want to hear your argument first.
I just find him kind of he's obviously playing against type a little bit. Like he's not taking this seriously. You know, he knows what this is. I think he read this and was like, "Oh, this is pantomime. This is fair. I'm not taking this seriously. I'm going to be, you know, the mustache twirling villain." Like he read this and was like, "I have no motivation, so I'm just going to be bad." Like that's the way it is. And I think so. But I find his sort of his voice, having that sort of Texas accent and his drawl and his sort of like his cadence, just feels kind of against type to be this kind of villain. So I don't know. He feels kind of fun when he is doing bits and pieces. He's not given much to do, in all honesty. Like it's paper thin. But I just find him. He's another one. I'm like, oh, I wish you'd have been given more to do. Like you're actually quite fun being this baddie. I want to see you more villain roles, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's he's fun, but again, it's paper thin. There's nothing to talk about really about it.
No, it just feels so one note to me. There's no shade to it at all. And again, when I think of the characters that have done something, or people where they've been something similar, whether they're good guys or bad guys, he's kind of got like the voice of God, right? Like Preacher. Again, like Preacher jumps to mind. Like, I definitely did when I read the book, actually. I know, again, that came later, but my review of the book when I read it was like, it's so interesting that this is a story that talks about, to me, it kind of felt like a story that, you know, echoing through time. And actually, I felt like when I read The Dark Tower, I was like, oh, I can feel what came before and I can feel what came after. And this fits in that netherworld of like, so interesting what influenced it and what it went on to influence. So, you know, like a character like that who has that power, but somebody like the Purple Man and how Tennant played him in that first season of Jessica Jones, like there is layers and texture in the performance, but also in the writing. And I guess I just feel a bit disappointed because McConaughey has just turned up and this feels like a real paycheck movie at a time where he's not that guy anymore. And he's done, but you know, Killer Joe was a layered, interesting, textured performance in a very dark, difficult movie. And I know this isn't that movie, but he is more than capable of that role. And here,
absolutely,
like flamboyant, and as you said, pantomime is the perfect way to put it. I felt like a disappointed dad watching it. Like, I spent all this time with you, Matthew, and now why are you doing this to me now?
This is not what you do, son. You're better than this.
Yeah, exactly that feeling.
No, I know what you're saying, and I can see what you are right, and he could easily give this more nuance. I don't think it deserves that, though. That's kind of the thing. You know what I mean? Because again, when you those characters you mention, they are, even beside the actor, the plot and the writing and the motivations are there in both of those, those examples you gave, and so you've got something to hold on to. Like, McConaughey turns up on set. Is like, right, what's my motivation? Your motivation is you want to destroy the Dark Tower. Yeah, no, that's an objective. What's my motivation? Why am I doing this? Why am I chasing this kid? Why am I killing my own people? Like, there's never any kind of
I hate that cliche as well. That like bad guy. I'm angry, so I'm going to get one of my minions.
Yeah.
Ugh. Okay.
Yeah.
That whole setup I do not get at all. Like, who are all these people in this? You mentioned it before, and I thought, I'm glad we come back to it. Who are these people in this control room? Why is it the guy from Dollhouse, the very short-lived show by that guy we're not supposed to talk about anymore? I didn't understand any of that either. And again, maybe that'll appear in the books. I don't think it will. It feels like that might be an invention for this movie.
No, they are characters. They are. So you will come across these people called the Low Men.
Yeah,
and again, like they're not this. They are. This is an extra, but the Low Men are this kind of. They are. I'm not going to go into detail because I don't want to spoil it. But I'm trying to remember bits. But basically, you'll find out that they are the baddest. But the thing is, they also pop up in other books, like other stories.
Yeah.
The Heart in Atlantis. Which became an Anthony Hopkins film, I believe.
Oh, okay, yeah.
In the short story, there's a point where they're sort of like, the guy's sort of talking about all these things, and he just makes reference to these things called the Low Men, and it's always been like, what the that's an odd thing to have in this book. And then you read The Dark Tower and you're like, oh, shit, this guy knew about this. So, like, there are those characters or those figures. But, like, yeah, this again, it's another thing. Like, there's a bit where he goes into the house. Jake goes into the house. Why it's a portal... the fact that they've had to go sci-fi and they're like, oh, we've actually got like panels from Star Trek TNG in the wall, like
yeah.
No, it's magic. Like you exist in a world where a tower controls the existence of reality. You don't have to lean into sci-fi. Lean into the magic. I mean, the book literally has doors that are that are portals and stuff like that. You're gonna have to deal with this stuff. But there's a whole thing about the Red King. There's the big eye and the Red King, and you go, okay, well, that's something you'll get into in the books of like this character, the Red King, and you're like, which kind of echoes this idea of the King in Yellow, the
Chief Detective stuff,
the Chambers, the Chambers book. So you've got these kind of, there's these bits of the book. The one thing that's in this, they never have a rose, and that kind of narks me. But the thing starts with the tech corporation, when it comes up and it's got all the different companies that have invested in this film and that stuff. One of them comes up is the Tech Corporation. The Tech Corporation exists in the books.
Oh, okay. That's fun.
And when you look at their logo, it's got a little turtle in it, and the turtle has got a rose in front of it. You're like, okay, look, even they've got more reference and more context to this in this one thing than the rest of the film. And so, yeah, I'm just kind of like, it's like trying to get something out of this film is like trying to wring a damp cloth. I'm like, yeah, there is still something in here, but like I'm having to wring this so hard to get any moisture out. Like, anything.
That's a nice analogy. Yeah. The opposite of just bring it back to. I took us off. Let's come back to McConaughey again a little bit. Like, just it feels like that's the opposite of what he's doing. Like you said, he's just kind of turning up. It feels like he turned up, he had the costume fitting, like, this I look pretty cool in this. Like, what haircut should I have? Oh, well, Ron Howard's producing this, so why don't we just give you Brian Grazer's haircut? That famous kind of like jet black shot straight up in the air. Okay, so look for McConaughey, but we'll go with it. And then that's it, really. As you said, like, what's my motivation? Just draw the dark out. What's my character? Well, black suit, black hair. What do I do? Go around telling people that they die. And that's it? All right. And then, so I just felt like, I wish he'd found more to do with it, and maybe this film doesn't deserve it. And I hadn't realised this until doing the research that he was offered Ego in Guardians 2, and he turned that down to do this. Now Kurt Russell is perfectly great as he mostly is in almost everything he's in Guardians 2, and Guardians 2 is a very flawed movie. But that would have been something. McConaughey is Ego in that. He would have absolutely knocked that out of the park. I think that would have made that film better. I think. Yeah, that would have been an amazing performance. That'd been interesting. And I wonder if he looks back now, like he was clearly wanting to do a franchise movie at this point in his career. This is the one he chose. Interesting.
That kind of tells me, because he said he wants to do a franchise film. I don't know what won him over, whether it was the paycheck. But the way he is killed in this film is so shonky and so poor, so awful, that I'm convinced that they were like, don't worry, you'll be back.
Yes. Well, I don't know if you watched all the way to the end credits.
I barely made it to the credits, to be perfectly honest.
There's a whistle at the end of the end credits.
Oh, okay.
I believe is meant to indicate that Walter is not really dead. It's Walter's.
Is this a bit like in Skeletor coming out of the water?
Yes, Flash Gordon, right?
Yeah.
Ming the Merciless. Yeah.
Ming the Merciless grabbing the ring. Skeletor coming out the water at the massive universe. The many villain returns that we will never see.
Yeah.
It just...
and I found a quote if you're interested. No, go on. You saying that? No.
I was going to say this is up there with this slots into that thing now of. I mean, if this had a Queen soundtrack, I mean that's the thing. Like at least they knew they were like you've got Flash Gordon, which becomes a cult classic, and it's funny and it's silly. And it's got Queen soundtrack, which is kick-ass. Even Masters of the Universe is dumb as beans, but that film is a lot of fun, and Frank Langella as Skeletor is something else. I mean, there's a villain that was like, I'm what?
Yeah.
you're doing what to me? Fine, I'm going to go all out and be something silly. Like, amazing.
Yeah, which, I almost would have preferred that here. That's a great, again, we keep coming back to that. It's a great example of like, just do something with this. Just Yeah. I found a quote from him about why he took it. If you're interested, so he said he didn't want the Guardians part because he felt like it was just bringing a big name actor. I'm an amendment to the universe. Whereas he wants to do the Dark Tower because the script was well written. Whether it changed, I don't know.
I think so.
And he felt like he could be the creator and the author of the Man in Black. That he would get to kind of build his character up, and he'd be in charge of his character. He could take it where he wanted to take it, which sounds like a McConaughey thing to say. I get it. He never got the chance, and also I don't see any evidence of that in the performance either.
I wonder then, and I don't know that because there's nothing on the Blu-ray about what's going on. They're very much kind of like the irony of the Blu-ray is it talks more about the books at time than it does the film.
I'm sure it does, yeah.
But I'm kind of convinced from both Idris Elba and McConaughey at this point that when they signed on for the 3-picture deal. They signed on for like, here's this epic arc. You're going to have all these things. It's going to be Lord of the Rings. It's going to be The Matrix. It's going to be this. It's going to be that. I think that's what they signed on to do.
Yeah.
And then Sony were like, yeah, we're not doing that now. But we do have you signed up to do this film. And you've got no choice because you've been paid. So you're going to have to do this. So I kind of feel that is quite possibly why both of them are a bit like McConaughey more than maybe Elba. It's like, all right, I shall do this. I'll give it serviceable. And then I'm off to do something else.
It feels like Ed Norton in The Italian Job. It's just, that's a great...
that's
I'll do it.
Notorious Ed Norton.
And I don't know how much of the reshoots as well. Maybe $6 million supposedly were given for reshoots, and that was to solely focus on Roland's character. So whether they took lots of McConaughey out and lots of the Man in Black out, I just don't know. But
could this be one of those things that one day we find out there's like a 4-hour cut of this film and it's amazing?
Yeah, maybe. Release the Arcel cut. Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just one of those weird disappointments. I mean, just to take to a sort of a wider point is Stephen King has always had a kind of an odd relationship with adaptations of his work. He's like the anti-Alan Moore. Like Alan Moore is like, I want nothing to do with any adaptation, good, bad, or indifferent. Like,
how dare you?
How dare you sully my
rights?
Yeah, I will spend the money, but still, I will grumble about it. King is kind of like, I think, just happy to be involved in so many of these things. And I think, but then you do watch many of those adaptations of his films, of his work, and they are hit and miss. I mean, more miss than hit, I would say. You get, I think the original Carrie's very good. I think you get like Shawshank Redemption, the Green Mile. There are ones that you'll go, that's a good one. I mean, I even really like that original, the first Pet Cemetery. But there's also then you can go, yeah, but
yeah.
There's all these others that, like, we unfortunately we then got Children of the Corn like 1 million times because of this. Like, there's so many of that. But whenever you look at those ones that have done well, and I think Shawshank is a really good example of this. I actually think, like, Machete's, is it Muschietti, Spaghetti did it. Andrew.
Yeah, Machete, isn't it? Yeah,
Machete. There's this kind of, you can see that there's a relationship between the filmmaker and Stephen King in his work. In that, like, Darren Bant, who obviously did like Shawshank and stuff, he's kind of like, no, I love that stuff. Like, I love it. I want to give it a prestige. I want to do this thing with it. But so here's my thing of it, but I'm still very much kind of, not just beholden, but like, Darabont became a good friend of Stephen King's. you can see there's that relationship, and the same with it. Like when you watch it part 1, part 2, you can see that like Machete's going like, well, this is my work, this is my film, like, you know, this is my version of Pennywise, this is my version of this. We've had to shift it to the 80s to do this other stuff, and we're not going to do the King ending, because if anyone's ever read it, they will never film the ending of that book. It's insane on so many levels. But he is going, but I'm going to do this, but I'm also beholden to the book. There's certain law and there's certain things that have to be in it. And you can see that when they were a success, even that original Carrie, if you read the book, and the book's done as a diary, isn't it? Done as a sort of a series of sort of entries and stuff like that. It's like, but you read that you read that, you watch the film. It's a similar thing where you can see that the film's going, this is a literary source. I've got to tell this in a certain way. There are certain things of doing this, but I can now give certain things from the book a visual flourish. That first, you know, the Carrie being trapped in the closet and having the Jesus, the piercing eyes of the illuminated Jesus statue. That scared me. One of the most scary things in that film as a kid. Is horrifying, and it's the mum is terrifying. And then, you know, when you read the book and you're like, oh, it's all there, but and there's that relationship. When it's really failed, they've just gone, yeah, we know better. We're going to take the title. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. You know, whatever. And they just become an utter mess. And you get Children of the Corn, or you get
Dreamcatcher. Yeah,
Dreamcatcher. Yeah. You know, Tommy Knockers, or the Langoliers, all those other TV versions, or you get the Dark Tower, where we're like, oh no, we're not engaging, we're not in a relationship with the material anymore. We're just doing our own thing. Okay, well then doesn't matter then, does it? Like it's irrelevant. I think that's the truth of like many good adaptations. You know, if there's a popular source material that's good, genuinely good, you know, you don't want to try and top it. You just want to be in relation with it. I think you want to work with it to try and go, look, we can't do that thing, but this is a version of it, and we want this version to be good. There's no way you could just directly adapt that book and just stick it out. That would be a failure as well. I agree, and I think you and I come from the same place here. Like there's nothing I put as a holy text that has to exist in that one form. There's nothing I think of in that way. There's things that I particularly admire and like more than others, but it doesn't mean if that got adapted or when that has been adapted, I expected it to be, you know, word for word, second for second. It must only be presented to me in that way. But there is a line somewhere in the sand where it's, as you said, this is title and character name only, really. Yeah. I mean, you could almost read the book and watch this many years later. Say you read the book in your teenage years and watch this and you'd be like, I'm sure there was a book called this. Yeah. You would not necessarily put those two things together as being a direct adaptation. Yeah. I mean, one of the funny things is it's called the Dark Tower, and the advertising shows, in often cases, was sort of like Roland and Jake in the shadow of, or walking into the Dark Tower, or the Dark Tower forming through tower blocks, you know, that sort of thing. Yeah. The Dark Tower stands ominous as this thing to be sort of thing. They never get there. They never go there. No. You know, maybe that was the promotion of the TV show.
Yeah, maybe. Even the promotion itself, like that's I hadn't thought of it until you mentioned there. Sorry to cut over you. It's like so interesting that it's the Lord of the Rings poster or it's the Inception poster. Again, they can't even be fucking original there. They can't even think of an idea for the poster to advertise it. It's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. It is. It's a really kind of like it was a slapdash. I mean, this feels to me like they went, yeah, that'll do. Get it out. How are we going to advertise it? I don't give a shit. But as long as Idris Elba's on the poster, it doesn't really matter. Right? Yeah. That's all there is to it.
It's been kicking around for over 10 years now. Let's just get this thing out. Let's get it made. Maybe the options were running out on it. I don't know.
Maybe.
Often these things happen. You option it for a certain amount of time and it's going. So we're not going to pay for this again. Let's just try and get some of our money back by getting something out there. And it did all right. I mean, there's not a lot to recommend about this movie, but it cost 66 and it made 113. So with advertising, it probably made some money. Yeah. And then obviously the revenue carries on going from that point, doesn't it? From rentals and streaming. And compared to some of the movies McConaughey's been in around this period of his career, this is actually arguably a success. Yeah. Critically, no. Commercially, yes.
The person that did the most well out of this, Stephen King. Because I'm pretty sure they reissued all the books at the same time.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And shortly after this, or maybe even just before it came out, he released Whistle Through the Keyhole, which was that interquel book.
Right, yeah.
So Stephen King's not stupid. He's like, I'm riding this to the bank.
Yeah. And the comics are coming out around this time as well, aren't they?
The graphic novels, which are...
They're like prequels, or they're set at a different time period or a different universe as well, aren't they?
They do. They fill in the gaps. I mean, it's kind of like it's like watching the Star Wars. Stop reading the Star Wars comics.
Okay, yeah.
It explains more. They do cover more about the this period of Wizard and Glass. There's loads more about the King, the Red King. It covers all bits and pieces. They're quite good. I mean, there's the artist. I was going to say Ang Lee, but it's not Ang Lee. It's someone Lee. It's a very distinctive art that does a lot of the sort of the work on it, and it's wicked. I mean, it's a real kind of...
Yeah, again, I was going to pick it up and read it, but I thought I'd read the books first.
Read the books first.
Yeah.
They are definitely a supplementary material. Like, it's kind of... It would be like coming to the Silmarillion and going, read that first, and then The Hobbit, and you'd be like, I don't have a Scooby-Doo what's going on in this.
Yeah.
Not that I ever did when I tried to read it anyway, but... no, they're worth checking out. I mean, they're not all great, but they are good fun.
They're worth your time, and they are better than this, which is not worth it.
Yeah, they are.
Even at 90 minutes, it's a long 90 minutes.
It is. It's an odd how long they are. Yeah. But it's the source material and the supplementary material is worth more of your time, I would say.
Yeah. Shall we delve into some Letterboxd?
Yes, let's see what other people thought then.
Yeah. Okay, Matt Blake will start off with something which is erring on the positive. He says, perks of being a Dark Tower. Matthew McConaughey and Idris Elba. Not terrible child acting. Decent action and special effects. Cons of being a Dark Tower. Only 90 minutes long. 3 decent-sized books into one film. Sony basically fucking up another potentially good franchise. So, I mean, I think that's overly positive, but good for him that I'm actually found things in it. I'm not sure where the decent action was, and special effects were fine, but again, they look cheap to me. I think that it wasn't something they cared to put their time and effort into. No. As you said, felt rushed. Yeah,
Sony. Is it around this time the Sony leaked? I can't remember what that was. And Sony kind of blatantly admitted they didn't want to make films anymore.
Yeah, maybe 2017. Yeah. And then carried on giving us shit films for nearly another 10 years.
They were like, no, we shall continue to force ourselves like some drunk football player onto the world. Yeah. So what's the
positive? Were you going to mention something about the child acting? I didn't know if you how you felt about the child actor in it.
He's fine. I mean, I think again, like he's not awful, but I don't think I've seen him in anything since. So
no, a bit Jake Lloyd, yeah.
He does a perfectly serviceable job. I mean, he's not irritating, and he works enough to hang the film on for what it is.
Yeah, fair. Will Movie Fan 97, however, feels a bit different. Might just be the most uninspired and formulaic blockbuster I've seen all year. By no means the worst, but just about everything falls flat on its face. For a 90-minute adventure, it manages to feel both incredibly rushed, hardly ever further exploring on its potentially fascinating world building, leading to a rather confusing, muddled mash, and yet also much longer than it is. Even with a budget of just 60 million, these are pretty shoddy looking special effects, while the action rarely ever engages or thrills. Idris Elba is a solid hero as the gunslinger, and Tom Taylor is perfectly fine. That's the child actor.
Mm-hmm.
But the surprising disappointment is McConaughey, whose Man in Black could not have been any more of an uninteresting one-dimensional villain. Wasted potential here.
Yeah, I think that's pretty fair. Yeah. It's that kind of thing, isn't it? Of just sort of like it's like lukewarm, isn't it? It's just tepid. Because it's so short and the so little here, I can't really get angry about it.
Sure, yeah.
Because I'm like, if this was like a really bad adaptation, like a really sort of like it really sort of shit on the source material, then I would be like, I'm really annoyed about this. Like, this is terrible. But it's kind of so sort of like meh.
Yeah.
That you're kind of like, oh, okay, well, yeah, it's fine. It doesn't really warrant me getting annoyed enough about it.
Yeah. No, I think that's fair to say. Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that's the general way I feel about it. I mean, I'm looking at sort of like, again, I was just looking on here, some sort of anything for anyone to say. I think a lot of people are either kind of like, just like, yeah, just exists.
Yeah. I had to trawl through a lot of reviews because so many of them were like, I love the books, and then how dare you?
That's the problem.
And a lot of them were like, who cares if you love the books? I've never read the books, and I think this. So there was a lot. That was the discourse essentially in so many of the reviews, and they all started the same of like, either I'm such a big fan that should have just stuck to the book, or like shut up about being a big fan of the book and just take it for what it is. That actually finding people who were
even then, as we say, if you go, all right, I'm not a big fan of the books, take it for what it is. A really poor action fantasy. Yeah, it's still crap. Even if I hadn't read the books, it's still not good. I would rather watch, The Amazing Spider-Man 2 on repeat for like it's just kind of so uninspired in almost every way. That even if you were to be like, we're going to drift from the material, but we're going to do these things, I'll be like, oh, cool, you're going to do... I mean, Idris Elba is a choice, because everyone obviously, considers Roland Descend and obviously draws him to look like Clint Eastwood. Mm-hmm. You go, yeah, but we're going to go with Idris Elba. Cool, that's an interesting choice. You're going to do something interesting. Yeah, we're going to do something interesting. What else are you going to do interesting? Oh, you want more? Oh, all right, well, we thought that was enough. No. What is it? No, that's kind of it. Oh, yeah. Okay. I'd almost want this to go the other way around. I mean, have McConaughey as Roland and put Idris Elba as the Man in Black. Let's really try and make people feel uncomfortable. Let's see what happens then. Like, I don't know. It's just there's nothing inspired here. I had a look at Arcel, Arcel, which by the way, unfortunate. He is obviously European director, and seems to have done some things that I've. He was the writer on The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo.
That's right. Yeah, I did read that. Yeah,
did the film Justice Riders with Mads Mikkelsen.
Oh yeah, that's all right actually.
Yeah. I thought it was all right.
Yeah, that's like the biker gang, like that aging biker gang type. Yeah.
Yeah, but he seems to be a writer and a script editor more than a director. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of he's Danish, so I can imagine that it's sort of like this may have been an opportunity for him as well at some point.
Yeah.
Oh, American film, I get to do this thing, and doesn't quite pan out.
Yeah. Wonder how it, from the hands it went through. You wonder how it got into his, but yeah, why not? If you get given that opportunity, you jump at it, don't you?
Yeah. Well, even some of the subcasts, as you said, you got like Dennis Haysbert, who's a recognisable actor and stuff. Jackie Earle Haley sort of pops up.
Yeah, very
oddly at some point.
I think he'd been contracted to this series as well.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think that's what I'm saying. You see people in this, and you are like, hang on, this feels like there was more to this, or at least someone was promised something more than what they got.
Yeah.
So unfortunate, but yeah.
Unfortunate it was. In terms of the format of the show, where are we falling, do you think? Is this a classic McConaughey performance? Is this one that's worth catching, or really are we skipping it? Are we saying only if you're a completist only should you bother seeing McConaughey in the Dark Tower?
This is completionist only. I mean, there's so little here.
Yeah.
It's interchangeable. I mean, you could literally just sort of slot any other person in to play that role, and it makes no difference. If anything, I'm kind of thinking, cool, bring in, someone who is going to do something really weird. Bring in, what's his name? It was Cyrus the Virus in.
John Malkovich.
Bring in a John Malkovich, someone like that who's going to be like really weird, and you'd be like, what are they doing? Why is he doing those things? That kind of thing would be more interesting. But yeah, it's dull. Is overall.
Yeah, a big disappointment, a towering disappointment, maybe I should say.
I would say, they forgot the face of their fathers.
Yeah, nice. What is never disappointing is what content we get from you. So what's going on with yourself at the moment? I know 20th Century Geek's been quiet because you've been busy with other projects. Any of them that you are wanting to share and talk about here?
Stories Out of Time. Yeah, so 20th Century Geek is on hiatus really for a bit, but still working. Stories Out of Time and Space going strong. I'm not sure when this is going out, but we've just completed on the live stream, on the main stream, we've just completed our RoboCop retrospective from 87 classic through to TV movie travesties and everything in between, and going through. So we just so Stories Out of Time and Space going strong every fortnight. That includes our dips into the Twilight Zone every other week on there. So we're doing that. But the other one that's doing is, again, me and Julian. We have been doing it on Patreon for a while, but we're now ready to put it on the mainstream, is our Akira Kurosawa, the director's chair. We've been doing every Akira Kurosawa film from his early stuff in the 40s, and we're quite way ahead. I'm not going to lie. We've just done Throne of Blood, and so we're up into the 50s, and so that's about to go onto the live stream. Season 1 of that will start dropping onto the mainstream. So that's been amazing to sort of
nice
to be doing that. And yeah, just got some stuff. We're still writing the book about action movies in the background. That'll be done soon. And I do have, I'm hoping, if Tony, our good friend, and Tanya pull their finger out, Comics Lit Volume 2 should be out this year. I've got a contribution in that, and I have a book I've contributed to about pulp heroes on screen and page. I did 3 chapters for that. That's due to come out in the autumn as well. So,
amazing!
Looking forward to those when those come out. Yeah.
So when you say 20th Century Geek is on hiatus, and then you list off the other 600 things you're doing, we all go, "Oh yeah, makes sense."
Yeah, yeah. just dabbling in things, just sort of keeps my brain busy. That's what it is. But yeah, the director's chair will come on 20th Century Geek stream. That's where it's going to land. But,
lovely. Okay, that's exciting. That's a really fun isn't the right word. It's an endeavor you guys have taken on, but I think it's an exciting one. I can't think of many other people who would say, yeah, let's watch all of Akira Kurosawa right from the start, and let's do that.
Whenever I explain it, like and I'm like, what film are you watching? I'm like, I'm watching Scandal by Kurosawa, and they're like, what's that one? You go, well, it's not one of his known ones, really, but I'm watching this 1949 Japanese black and white film. But when he's good, he is phenomenal. I mean, just not looking off on it, but obviously Seven Samurai we've done, but his film Ikiru is a film that I won't say changed my life, but is a film that you go, that's a film that like no one talks about, that everyone should. Like, that is a masterpiece. That film, Ikiru, is an absolute masterpiece. So yeah, there's been some deep conversations and some interesting conversations. But yes, don't worry. On Stories Out of Time and Space, we're still doing Killer Clowns from Outer Space. I'm still doing Life Force. So the balance is there.
Yeah, I just remember you announcing it quite a ways back, and it's an exciting project. So I can't wait to get stuck into it.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm always interested. Anyone that does listen, I'm definitely interested to see everyone's feedback and see what their thoughts on, because we have some controversial thoughts. Julian is not averse to having a controversial thought when it comes to some of those films.
No, as a man who covered Alien Earth with Tony and then listened to you, Julian, covering Alien Earth, I think, I think I know what Julian thinks of me.
Yeah, we have different opinions. That was an interesting show.
That was another fun one. Yeah.
But yes, no, there's lots of stuff going on.
Cheers, mate. Always so good to speak to you.
Right, cheers, man.
I'm not angry. I'm just disappointed. Although, not with Scott, of course, who brought his usual brand of towering 20th century geek knowledge. Or with you, listeners, for your continued support, engagement, and participation as we journey through the reconnaissance. That was The Dark Tower. Next up in a fortnight, I'm going to be joined by Glyn Davies to discuss Eminem's performance as Richard Wersch Sr. in Yang Damage's White Boy Rick, for those that are watching along. Until next time, be excellent to each other and make sure you take the time to treat yourself too. I am Jack signing off. Yippee-ki-yay, movie lovers.
You just gotta keep living, man. Livin.
Cut.